Hey folks, May 30th, 2026. It is Saturday, and today is a pretty cool day in the garden because with the planting of this bed of bell peppers, we got 16 on each side running down for 32 total with a spot at the end for something else. Every bed in this garden for the first time in 2026 has something in it. Now, that's not to say that every bed has full-size plants or that every bed is even full, but let me show you sort of the changes that have gone in the last week, because there's been quite a bit here, so yeah, I think it's worth looking at. Between my two Yukon Gold beds, the okra has popped up. I had some undercover that's transplanted, and that has been, it's been okay, a little slow to get started. Some of my seed starting didn't quite go as well as I wanted to, but yeah, by and large, we're in good shape there. And we will be, especially as the heat turns up. But what we really need is some rain. Now, following the great tomato disaster of April 19th and April 20th, when we lost them all pretty much to the frost, save these two here, we've recovered a bit. I had some plants under cover, and they're in this area here. This is all San Marzano determinate variety. The problem I'm having right now is you're going to see these being in the ground. They've got flowers. They're looking phenomenal. They're going to do great. They are the same age plants as them. They're also flowering, though they don't have the size, because I'm going to guess between temperatures and age, the plant's basically saying, you know what, I'm ready to go ahead and flower and fruit. Don't forget, like I said, it's a determinate variety, which means it sets all of its flowers and fruit pretty much within a 3-week period, and then it's done. So we're probably not going to get as much out of those because they're forcing their fruit young as a smaller plant than they would have if they would have made it to full size. Now, what I've done is in these two beds, and you're not gonna be able to see them really well, we'll get close in as best we're able. I've got a bunch of I got 72 between these two beds, and that is, those are my second round to really get them, get myself caught up. The problem with, and they're gonna do fine, don't worry about them being small. As long as they stay damp enough, they're not gonna dry out. They get happy once they get in soil. It's going to take a few weeks, but I guarantee you by the time we have our June garden tour, which will probably be around, call it June 25th, they're going to look much more substantial. I just got to make sure I keep the gas pedal on when it comes to making sure they just don't dry out, because we're just not getting the rain, nothing in the forecast. And the rain that we were supposed to have last week, which was a week coming into last week, predicted to be about 2 inches. The forecast kept going down. We only wound up with 3/4 of an inch. Something else notable, but not necessarily in a positive way, is that little raised bed that I put together outside of the garden for sweet potato slips. They were doing great. I was really happy with the growth they had until they came out one morning, and yeah, I think the deer got them. So what I did to solve that problem was this little raised bed with my Yukon Golds, I cleared them. I got about 21 pounds out of that over 26 plants. It would have been better if I would have left them there, but what I was able to do was take those sweet potato slips, and I'm attempting to salvage them in this bed now. You can see that they definitely got stumped pretty good, but the roots were actually very robust. I'm gonna hit this guy with some water today. He'll need a little bit more water because he's raised up out of the ground a bit, but once they start really tapping into the soil below, we should be able to, they're gonna run like crazy. The only problem I have is they're going to run like crazy, which means all this area, for better or worse, is going to have a lot of sweet potato vine. It may actually shade out some of the weed issues we're going to have here. We continue to have here. But yeah, that's that had to happen, but that keeps something in this bed. And I actually didn't have anything planned for this bed after the potatoes came out, so that's nice. Speaking of sweet potatoes, well, I don't know if you guys watched the video, but we had our garlic harvest about a week ago, and immediately followed them all up with sweet potato slips. And this is not all the sweet potato slips I've got going on. I've got plenty under cover, though I've had a lot more failing in that process than I've had in the past, and I'm trying to solve that problem. I may have video to come on that, video to come on sweet potatoes in general, but what I also had to do, I had 2 rows in each of these. I think there were 20 plants in each row, so 40 per bed. But the 32 that were outside in the small raised bed that I just talked about, 26 went into the raised bed that we just saw, and I've got 6 down the middle here because I just didn't have any more space for them. And because they're sweet potatoes and they've got some space in there, I'm not worried about it being too tight. They're gonna be fine. And then the final bed worth noting is the third of the donation beds in the garden. So let's take a look at that one real quick. This bed was radishes up front, turnips in the back. It's been cleared, everything was sent to donation. Unfortunately, my second to last round of turnips that I brought over there, nobody actually picked them up. So I went to bring more over there, not knowing that they didn't pick them up, and I took the ones that were there, that were getting kind of old, I took them home, and they're in my fridge now, and I replenished them with fresh ones. But we've got peppers up front here, and back here I think I'm going to throw some cucumber plants in there, because I asked the pantry, was it last year? It might have been late last year. I inquired of them what the demand really was for food, and they mentioned things like tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers, typical summer crops. I think they're going to be happy to get those carrots though. Beets, I hope they're happy with those too. Otherwise, I'll be having to, take more of them home as well. But a bed of peppers and cucumbers should serve the public well. Still got to decide what I'm going to do with my soybean bed, because my germination is very spotty, and I don't necessarily want to have this in this condition. Some of the plants are in really good shape. Some of the ones I tried to get germinating in between just didn't do what they're supposed to do. And now I gotta pick whether or not I'm gonna scrap the whole bed for black-eyed peas or let it finish out, because that's a lot of days in this bed without having great production. I think I'm kind of answering my question. The strawberry beds, and I've mentioned my strawberry disaster in an earlier video, the fact that we lost our first flush of flowers to the heat and to the frosts. Now the plants are producing fine now. They're producing at rate that I would expect by now. The problem is that rate is the rate that we should have had earlier this year. So right now I'm getting about, each bed will produce one pack, what I call a pack of strawberries. So I'm getting 4 every other day off these. Whereas earlier in the season, I should have been getting about 6 a day for about 7 to 10 days. And we missed all of those. So that's the heartbreak, even though they're doing pretty well now. Now, 6 of these beds are going to get scrapped, and when they do, I got to figure out what's going to go into this space. I think it's probably going to be all black-eyed peas. I could really use a lot of those. I got a lot of seed for that I saved from last year, and to actually have just a ton of legume in this area sprawling out, I think that'd be pretty boss. Because of the Aleppo failure in this one, I had 30 Aleppo plants. Now I do not have that many. It's spotty. I have Aleppos, I've got Fatali, I've got Swiss chard at the back there. What I'm thinking about doing, I did just find another Aleppo that I had under cover. He'll probably go right in that area. Space a little wider, just kind of close out that line of Aleppos there. And what I'm thinking about doing down this row here, since I really don't have anything, and continuing this, more green beans. I've got the safe seed from last year, so I should be able to, and it did germinate well. You've heard my green bean story a couple of times, so I think I'll have that for those areas, some more green beans. I think that's a good idea. The fava beans have not been producing many pods. That's been kind of a bummer. The plants themselves look great. They flowered beautifully. The pods just are not there right now, and I don't know why. I truly have no idea why. Now, what you're going to see if you got close to some of these on this bed, in between, I did sow some melon, cantaloupe, because I wanted to give them a little bit of protection from the sun while they were maturing up. And I'm just gonna cut these guys down at their base so that the roots can stay in there, and then the cantaloupe can spread. And in this bed, we've got some cucumbers down the middle of the asparagus. I'm probably gonna chop the asparagus back a bit. I know I should leave it up simply because it needs to photosynthesize to build that root system out, but I really don't want to shade out the row of cucumbers and watermelon that I've got going down the center. I'd rather not compete with the asparagus. This asparagus bed did not work out for me the way I wanted it to, so I may just kind of let it be a weaker asparagus bed and just interplant between it with things that I want that are just more important than having kind of a weak asparagus bed. So yeah, it's a good day for me today, because now I get to kind of I'm not going to take any breaks anytime soon, but it does put most of the plants that I've germinated undercover out into the garden, which is a good place to be, because I don't need to do any more undercover propagation right now for the foreseeable future, except for the stuff that we're going to need in the fall. And that happens sooner than I think, because I like to get things going around mid-July to mid-August so that they can start maturing in the garden by mid-October. Transplant it out before then. So for example, broccoli, if you start it in early August under cover and you get it out in September 1st, you can probably harvest it, depending on the variety, by October 15th. If you're later and later and later than that, because the weather cools off, you may be thinking to yourself, oh, cool season crop. It may be trying to finish out when it's too cold for it to keep growing. So it's one of those things where even though it's blistering hot in summertime, it's kind of the right time to start a lot of your cool season crops. And that's what I've got to think about so I don't miss that mid-season sowing date. So yeah, that's all I got to report for now. Right now it's just getting things watered, trying to keep them watered because drought, and kind of pull things when they bolt and get things in their place when they do, so that I can keep these beds as full as possible for as long as possible. So I hope you enjoyed what we saw here today. If you did, feel free to give the video a like and comment below. Happy to talk about anything you want to see out here. It's been an interesting spring, not a very positive one in a lot of ways, but we are still getting plenty of food, and that's the important thing. So until next time, thanks for watching. Take care.